On today's episode of the Views from Checking 400 podcast, we have the return of the NBA Emirates Cup, some major NFL news involving Jack's Jaguars and a certain Super Bowl winning head coach. The college football playoff ranking saw a shakeup after my BYU Cougars lost. We have our winners and losers of the week, our NFL Week 11 confidence picks, and as always, we'll finish it off with our Michaels of the Week featuring the sports stories that surprised us the most from this past week in sports. It's going to be a super fun, packed show. Let's go.
A16, turn me up.
And just like that, we're back. Usual section 400. Matt, Jack, and Brian here for the action-packed midweek show. Hope everybody's ready for a big one. Brian, the veto's back. You got your wish. But be careful what you wish for, man. Belichick wants to coach the Jags. That's what I really want to get into because I didn't see the updates. Jack has some sort of hope, some sort of life. After we called it a poverty franchise in the last podcast, he gets his Bill Bilicheck wish. But I say the oldest tale ever. Be careful what you wish for. 74 years old. Does he have the juice? Trevor Lawrence is not Tom Brady.
Trevor Lawrence is more gifted than Tom Brady.
Stop it.
More physically gifted.
That's going to be your first words out of this podcast are going to be Trevor Lawrence is more gifted than Tom Brady. That's how you want to start today?
More physically gifted, yes, and I'll stick to it. Now, listen, Bill Belichick, you're right. We talked about how the Jaguars are, a borderline franchise, poverty franchise. So, yes, I am very excited about Bill Belichick giving us the anointing of I'll coach the team. There's nobody else in the world who I would trust more to be able to come into Jacksonville and turn this franchise around. There's simply not. Now, don't get me wrong, Ben Johnson as the OC in Detroit has looked amazing. He just put up 52 points on us. Would love to have him there too. That's who a lot of guys want, the young guy. I get that. I understand it. I wouldn't mind it. But this is like this is an organizational thing, and I feel like only a guy like Bill Belichick can really fix that.
Yeah, he did a great job fixing it with Mac Jones the last time. Now he's going to be on another team with Mac Jones. I'm sure it'll go better. I'm sure it'll go better.
Dude, Mac Jones will retire before having to play for Bill Belichick again, I'm sure. But look, Trevor Lawrence would be a whole hell of a lot better than Mac Jones. There's no question about that. And then, comparative to Brady, I mean, I could see him. I could see him there. 6 more. We can get 6 more, Bill.
Look, it's all rumors at this point. It's all speculation. You can, spin the reports whichever way you want to spin them. Is it an upgrade? Sure. Bill Belichick's probably an upgrade over most coaches in the league, but the guy, has been out going on a world tour to vacations with his 20-year-old girlfriend, and I don't know that he has he's 75. It doesn't seem like.
Matt, you said it right there. He's got a 20-year-old girlfriend. He's traveling the world. He's on the Manning cast every week. This man is still giving his heart. He's still pumping blood, baby. Simple as that. He is still pumping blood. Got a hot young girlfriend, traveling. He's going to be our next head coach.
I don't want to spend too much time on this because we have a lot of other stuff to get to, and I see Brian has a quick thing to say about it as well, so it might be tough to get through it in a quick manner. But I don't understand what Bill Belichick does for your guys' organization other than, okay, the culture. Like, you can find other people to recreate the culture. Like, last time I checked, Bill Belichick wasn't an offensive-minded guy, and you guys have had good defenses over the last couple of years. So I'm just trying to find what Bill Belichick's going to do. That's going to be so much different than what you've seen in the past. Understand culture is a big part of it, but it's really not everything, especially in this day and age of the NFL.
It's not just about the culture that he brings. It's the winning. I mean, part of that culture is the winning attitude. And we have seen nothing but losing seasons since since we made the playoffs a couple of years ago. But it's been tough, dude. It's just, even when we got there, that was way more way more legitimate than the year and the win that the Giants had with Daniel Jones when they went on to win that one playoff game and then they gave him a bag. Our season was way more credible than that. But even having said that, you just never felt like it was actually going to happen. Bill Belichick, he's done it 6 times. 6. And obviously he had Tom Brady there.
Tom Brady's done it 6 times.
No, Brady's got 7, right?
Yeah.
Well, in New England.
With Belichick. Yeah,
he had 6.
Think him having a young girlfriend is going to be a good thing for him? I think he's going to be tired. If anything, he's going to come to the office
Urban Meyer 2.0.
Keeps him young. Keeps him out of the clubs and out of the bars.
Keeps him into the bars.
Keeps him in all that.
Instead of watching film at 11, she's going to be yelling at him to go out and dress up as God knows what for Halloween.
Nah, he's got a job to do. That's not the way Bill rolls.
I don't know. He's getting up there. He's kind of learned some things that are more important than football. Going to be living in Florida. The weather's always nice.
It's more
Brian, who's the best head coach of all time?
Bill Walsh.
Tom Landry.
Greatest NFL head coach of all time in the past
Vince Lombardi.
2 decades. 3 decades.
Bill Parcells.
Oh, shut up. We're talking about the GOAT.
Mike Tomlin.
The freaking GOAT.
Brian, I'm surprised you didn't. Mike Tomlin's a good one, but I'm surprised you didn't throw Tom Coughlin out there.
I almost did, but then I realized he has some Jaguars ties, so I couldn't even give Jack that.
Look, Jack, you're defending this guy like he's 2 weeks into his first year with the Jaguars. I mean, this guy doesn't even have doesn't even have a house lined up in Duval County yet, and you're already like on the ship.
He's preparing himself for when it finally happens, so he has all the preemptive coping out of the way, so he can't yell at him when they finally sign the deal.
Well, we'll wait until that time before we jump into that again. But Brian, as our lead NBA insider on the Section 400 podcast, the NBA Cup's going on. They changed it from the in-season tournament to the NBA Cup. I kind of like the NBA Cup idea, a competition inside of the season. We see it in European sport every single year, multiple competitions inside of the regular season. So NBA not reinventing the wheel here, coming up with new ideas, but I like the idea. What have you seen so far through, I think, a couple games of the competition?
Yeah, well, I didn't catch the first round of games because the NBA has viewership declining, and you wonder why. They had 0 social media presence for this NBA Cup that they've been marketing so much. But apparently we're 2 games in now, and also the EuroLeague is in action right now. Why not have the EuroLeague play against these teams for the NBA Cup? That would make it a lot more fun. But the big news is your Pistons that you had for the playoffs are 2-0.
2-0. Hey man, I don't even know if you could take futures on it, and I'm not even looking at the NBA Cup. I'm looking at making the playoffs, and they're quietly sitting in the 7th seed right now, plus 1,100 to make the playoffs before the year. Gave it out on the NBA Futures Roundtable. Not a bad start for the plus 1,100 bettors.
Not a bad start at all. In their group, they have the Bucks. Who are the Bucks? They have the Heat, the Pacers, and the Raptors. So not exactly murderer's row right there.
No, definitely tough. But again, I'm looking at the long journey of the plus 1,100 NBA Cup. Whatever. Keep playing good. I guess I don't care.
Yeah, unfortunately, speaking of playing good, the Cavs finally lost to the Celtics. Jason Tatum went crazy. So the Cavs are now 15-1. That was an NBA Cup game, I believe. Yeah, it was. But the biggest story so far, your 76ers are 0-2, and Tyrese Maxey is yelling at Joel Embiid for showing up late to team meetings.
Yeah, 2-11 through 13 games. They've pretty much been losing in every way possible, with Embiid, with Paul George, without Embiid, without Paul George. Any type of rotation or combination of guys they throw out on the court seems to not be working out. Look, we see it in sport across the board, football, basketball, baseball, anything. I mean, you saw it with your Mets. Lindor pulled the team together and had an inside meeting, so to speak. And that's what they did right here, right? Maxey kind of led the charge. Embiid was there. Paul George was there. And Look, Maxey called Embiid out, and that's what you have to do sometimes to turn the ship around. Like we all know Embiid has a lazy attitude. We see it on the court. Well, if he's doing it on the court, he's probably doing it in outside life as well. I mean, it's something as simple as showing up to meetings on time. The guy's a star player, so he's showing up late. I love it. I love it. I would, start bet on the Sixers to go on a run here because whenever we see these meetings happen and a team starts out slow and the expectations are high, but they're not performing up to those expectations, they have the meeting and that usually sparks some kind of turnaround. I'm excited to see what happens. Now, very well could not, but I just think the team is too good, especially with the emerging status of Jared McCain, that they're not going to turn it around in a kind of weaker Eastern Conference. So we'll see what happens. I think another kind of underlying issue here is maybe Nick Nurse isn't that good of a head coach either. He got a lot of props on the Raptors, obviously with Kawhi Leonard, but I think he might have got a little more credit than what he actually is kind of good for. But we'll see, man. I like the early meeting after a very terrible start. We'll see where they go from here.
Yeah, I think this might be the first and only time I ever say this. But if I see Joel Embiid appear in a TikTok dance video, I will be sold on the Sixers and his team to go on a run. I need to see him in a Jared McCain TikTok to show that the team chemistry is actually there. Because apparently we saw Kyle Lowry yelling at Jared McCain on his vlogs. I don't know if they love the TikToks, and that may be a bad team chemistry thing.
Look, they didn't like the TikToks before the guy was putting up 20 points a game, before he was leading Rookie of the Year voting. I mean, I think he's got like 6 or 7 20-plus point games, and the next rookie behind him only has 1 or 2. So that was before this guy was going off. Look, if he wants to drop 25 a night and lead the second unit and possibly emerge into a starting player, paint your nails whatever color and throw whatever TikToks up you got to throw up if you're putting up those numbers. Now, you're averaging 2 points a game and you're playing like shit, you're going to get killed for it. So that's both sides of the spectrum. There's no in between.
It looked like you had something to add, Jay.
No, I was going to go back to the Nick Nurse comment. I mean, I just feel like the Philadelphia 76ers coaching carousel over the last, I don't know, decade, 2 decades has been so volatile. Like, and this just, I feel like that epitomizes it, like right here. Like, I feel like Nick Nurse is a great head coach, and if he can't make it work in Philly, I don't know who the fuck can, because you do have a lot of personalities over there. It's definitely a tough job to wrangle them all in. That's what they brought. So I feel like at this point, so many different head coaches in during the Joel Embiid and the process era that just it hasn't worked.
It hasn't worked at all. And, there's been a lot of head coach. I think, the last decent head coach they had was back in like 2012 when, what was it, Doug Collins led them to that first round upset over the number 1 seed Chicago Bulls. So it's been a while, well over a decade. And, maybe Nick Nurse is a good coach, but not been a good coach for this city. And, it's a tough job because it is a tough city, right? The fans, including myself as a fan, like it's what it is. We expect greatness. You're getting paid all this money. Got to be great. Embiid, as much as he said he loves playing for the city, he loves being in the city, this, that, and the 30, he doesn't really represent the hard work, the grit, the, FU attitude that Philly carries. I don't know that, it seems like the relationship is slowly deteriorating, if it's not already deteriorated after that meeting. But I don't need to go into the Sixers anymore.
Yeah, it's a long season, so we might have to check in about a month from now and see if they're back treading water. But the last thing on the NBA Cup is the Warriors are 2-0, and I think you guys were a year too early saying they're going to win another ring.
I can't get behind it now that Clay's not there. That was half the reason or not half, but that was a big part of the reason why I thought they were going to get their ring. I'm not betting on them now with Clay not there. It's not happening.
They're really good. They got Toshevsky or whatever his name is, the kid from Arizona, who also played for Italy, who would have been your teammate if throwback to our 4 and 400 of when you said you would play Olympic basketball for Italy. You and Pokey would have been running the pick and roll pretty well there.
Bro, I would never make an Olympic basketball team. I don't
You were kind of convinced you
know
would.
if this 4 and 400 thing was like, I get to make the team automatically or something like that. But dude, I would never be able to make an Olympic basketball team.
Probably not. But either way, he's balling out, and the Warriors are looking good. And that's the NBA Cup.
All right. Well, let's get into some college football playoff talk. I mean, before we do that, though, I have to say, college football recap is presented by Bowl Miss. 12 Days of Bowl Miss is back in 2024 with 12 episodes, 12 days featuring familiar guests and some new ones. It all starts on Monday, December 16th.
And we got about 8 of those days confirmed right now. So it's going to be some exciting. We got, like Jack said, some old friends, some new ones coming on. I cannot wait for Bowl Miss. And we're going to have to do another video here for a proper release announcement soon.
Oh, we'll get one going. I can't wait. I got some good ideas. But yeah, I mean, like Jack said, the Bowl Miss this year, man. It kind of feels like it's not the holiday season. I don't know why. Maybe I've been so tied up with work and then, doing stuff for our brand here behind the scenes. So it feels like yesterday was summer. Maybe it's because the weather hasn't fully turned to like sub-freezing temperatures yet, which I'm not complaining about. But I don't know. It just doesn't fully feel like the holiday season. So I guess that's why it doesn't fully feel like Bowl Miss is right here. But less than 2 weeks away till we kick that off, right? Or no, maybe a little longer than that, about a month away. But either way, it's here, and I can't wait. But yeah, obviously, it's nice we record on Wednesday because the fresh rankings come out Tuesday night, and then we get to discuss on Wednesday when we record, and then everybody gets to listen Thursday morning, obviously. But nothing, well, I don't want to say nothing crazy, but the rankings are kind of similar to what we've seen. We have, Oregon still leading that top spot, and I don't know that they're going to lose that top spot.
It looks like Oregon's 1. We got Ohio State at 2, Texas at 3, Penn
Ohio
State at 4, and then Indiana at 5. So we have a 2 versus a 5 with the Indiana-Ohio State coming up. That'll be crazy.
Yeah, that should be a great game this week. Do you guys think that if Ohio State beats, a number 5 Indiana, they can really jump Oregon, who's still undefeated?
No, because Oregon has the head-to-head over Ohio State, and that'll do it there.
I'm also like, look, I know we got, big Z my guy, huge Indiana guy. I do believe he's going to Ohio State, Indiana this weekend, boots on the ground in Indiana gear. That'll be interesting for him. We hope he stays safe. But I mean, I love Indiana, man. The Hoosiers, what an electric team. The head coach has the mindset, but at some point, we have to look at the schedule. At some point, we have to see who they played. And their best win to date is against a 5-5 Michigan team that they barely won. Scraped through, ugly game. The coach even said super ugly. They played the bottom 6 teams of the Big Ten with non-conference wins against very, very poor, borderline FCS programs. I forget the schools, and that kind of just proves it right there of how bad it's been. So this is the first test in 9, 10, whatever many weeks we're in right now for Indiana. Now, if they go out and beat Ohio State, which they very well could, sometimes you just need the momentum, they'll be warranted for this playoff. But, Brian, we talked about it on a couple of podcasts ago. If they get absolutely smoked, blown out of the water, I don't know how you keep them in this top 12 based on the record they played and then a disastrous loss against an actual good team. And yes, Ohio State's probably the only real good team they've played this year or are going to play this year. So a bad loss to Ohio State. Not only are they going to drop from 5, but they might just drop out of the whole top 12. And I don't see how that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough, especially because you have the SEC teams taking up the whole back end of these rankings. And we know about the committee and their SEC bias, which, I mean, it does just mean more. But we're also forgetting the fact Auburn could still beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl and open up a spot for Indiana to fall back.
And the other thing too is we were also saying like, all right, Indiana, they just got to keep it close. Even if they lose, keep it close. Like I would borderline say this is a must win for their playoff hopes. They need to win this game to stay in the top 12 because this is the only team where they would have credibility in terms of winning. I still, it's been nice. It's been a fun story, the whole thing. I don't know that they have the credibility yet. The street cred, as the kids like to call it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you said it right originally. They're going to need to lose a toss-up game for them. They're going to have to lose a toss-up game or win for them to stay in contention. Unless it's very clear, if it's clear-cut that they were not on Ohio State's level, they should not be in the playoff. There's too many other good one-loss.
I don't know if you can say that.
There's
Ohio State's the second
many...
best team in the country.
What?
And they're playing them on the road. If they keep
it, but
if they keep it under
other...
10, I think they deserve a spot.
I
don't know. I always go back to.
I mean, you could look at this, and any team in the field right now going into the shoe, besides maybe Oregon, would be 3 or 4 point underdogs. So I don't know how much you can really like. If they get blown out, yes, but as long as they keep it kind of close, Indiana could. I mean, the 11 spot, like, come on.
I mean, they are right now. They are 2 touchdown underdogs. You know that, right?
Yeah, and that's like, but if they cover and they cover convincingly, I think they're deserving of a spot. You're talking about what could be the 1 team versus Indiana would probably be like the 11.
I just think there's better. You know me and my SEC bias. I think there's better 2-loss and even 3-loss SEC teams than this undefeated Indiana team.
Yeah, and that's what the committee is going to have to decide here.
And I think it's going to be an easy decision because they haven't played anybody. They haven't played anybody. Look at the schedule. I mean, they barely beat a 5-loss Michigan team or a 4-loss at the time before actually beating them. Like, that's their best win of the year.
Yeah, but you can't.
A team that Texas blew out. You can't dock them for that. But you can read with your eyes and see that. Look, maybe this team doesn't deserve a spot because, like Jack's saying, there's other teams who have played better competition and have beat the better competition. Brian, if they lose this game, there's so many other teams out there who are probably more deserving. And again, you can't fault them for the schedule. But
they've also blown out the teams on their schedule, though. It's not like they've been barely sneaking by. Like, they've been winning these games by multiple touchdowns.
Right. Where have
I heard this argument before? It's almost like there's like another undefeated team.
There were 4 teams in that playoff. There's 12 spots now.
Who took care of all their business.
There's 4 spots. There were 4 spots. There's now 12.
Ohio State.
Florida State would have been in. They would have been in with a 12-team playoff.
And you did have the argument at the time of them getting snubbed. But when you go, 2 weeks later and lose 75-3 to Georgia,
what are we talking about now?
Gone.
What are we talking about now? We're no. What are we talking about?
No, I said you had that argument for sure. Had that argument, but
you still have the argument. Nothing changes.
Not at all.
Nothing changes in a bowl game where all.
No, it shows that they made the right decision.
No, it does not. They didn't have any of their starters play. We talked.
I'm with Jack on this one.
They never played. They didn't play any of
their starters. You won.
They had half their guys go first round in the NFL draft. Like, what are we talking about here?
I mean, dude, I don't know that they make up all those points, but whatever. I mean, you guys can be on one side, I'll be on the other. That's what it is.
They checked out. Even the guys that were playing, they didn't care because they felt like they were snubbed. But the point still is, if it was a 12-team playoff, they would have been in. And unless Indiana gets absolutely boat raced, they deserve to be in.
I don't think so.
You want to know what the committee is saying? Even a team, you need to be a team like Army or Navy that's undefeated to not be able to make it anymore. And that's honestly the way it should be.
Yeah. But if you have 1 loss, you should in the Big Ten, I don't care if they've played Like they beat the two teams that were in the national championship last year. I know they're not as good this year, but it's not their fault they're not as good. They put them on the schedule and now they suck. But they still had them on the schedule. It's not their fault they suck now.
Yeah, but like that's again now. I don't know. That's not like what we're looking at. We're looking at who's on the schedule and the strength of the teams that they played, regardless of who made the schedule. It's what it is. And they haven't had a tough schedule. Whether they won the championship 3 years ago and fucking 7 guys won the Heisman 10 years ago, like that is so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
If you're beating teams badly, you can't penalize a team for not like they've won convincingly. As long as they don't lose by a lot of points, I think they deserve to be it. I hope the committee keeps them.
Like they're going in down. What did you say, Jack? 2 touchdown underdog?
Yeah.
If they lose by 3 possessions, that's a lot of points. If they keep it under a 2 possession loss and it's close until like the fourth quarter, then yeah, they played a good game on the road against one of the best teams in the country. I don't see how you can dock them for that.
Okay, let me ask you this, Brian. Ohio State wins this game.
Do you not want to see the best product?
Ohio State wins this game, beats Indiana. They play Oregon in the Big Ten championship, correct?
Yeah.
Assuming Penn State wins out and Indiana beats Purdue in that last game, they've got 2 teams that are going to be, or I guess 3 teams. Penn State and Indiana are both going to have 1 loss with no conference championship game. Ohio State, if they lose to Oregon, is going to be a 2-loss conference champion loser. Who gets in that bunch?
They should all get it.
All of them?
Yes.
And what about all of the 2-loss? You think those guys are worth more than the 2-loss SEC teams?
I think a 1-loss Indiana is worth a whole lot more than a 2-loss Alabama that lost to Vanderbilt. When your 1 loss is against Ohio State and you're Alabama who lost to Vanderbilt,
yeah,
that's a worse loss than Ohio State.
That's a fair one. How about trying to think who were Ole Miss's 2 losses to?
See, the issue is with all these SEC teams is they beat up on each other. Like Ole Miss beats Georgia, and then I think Alabama beat Ole Miss. It's like, but you can't lose to Vanderbilt and get in over a 1-loss Indiana.
No, I agree with you on that. I think that is like too bad of a loss for Bama.
Oh, like, lost to Kentucky at home.
This is all put to bed if they just go out and win on Saturday.
2 3
All
point.
All they got to do is go win. All they got to do is go win, and that's what Brian thinks is going to happen.
As long as they keep it close, that's all they need.
See, but then you got to define close. Like, is them covering but losing by 13?
Yeah. So I guess it depends how they lose by those 2 possessions. Like, if it's a 7-point game and then Ohio State scores with like 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Like, if they're down by 4 touchdowns all game and then score too quick at the end of the game.
No,
yep,
that would be a blowout.
They're in.
If it's a close game, if they back recover, obviously no, that's a blowout. But if they keep it close until the end, where it's a winnable game, that's a good loss. And good losses matter with the committee. That's an actual stat they look at.
Okay, so Georgia, 2-loss team, no conference championship. Are they worth more or less than in Indiana with 1 win?
Yes.
Less.
Even though their 2 losses were
more
to Alabama, in Bama, and in Ole Miss.
Yeah, well, it goes back to you can't fault them for who they played. Like, they're playing a way tougher schedule.
I think Georgia's the safest
but we are faulting them for who they played.
Out of that trio of Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia is the safest to get in.
That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you Georgia or Indiana.
You're asking who?
Georgia.
And that's what I said.
Okay, why? Because you're saying that those 2
I'm saying because the conference is better.
Those are good losses.
And, yeah, the schedule's way harder.
So that's the
Like
difference.
that, like I don't know why this is like so hard to comprehend. Of like they look at the schedule of who they played. That's the
Yes,
like
but
that's what the
bad
committee's
losses
going to
are
look
a
at.
thing. Georgia doesn't really have a bad loss. Ole Miss and
No, I
Alabama both
know
have bad
that
losses.
that's I think we're arguing for the same cause here.
Yeah. Also, Notre Dame sitting there at 9-1. Their loss is horrendous. They lost to NIU.
The senior-led NIU team, who was ranked in the top 25 at one point this year.
They were, but like I don't know if you could say a one-loss Indiana when their loss at Ohio State deserves to be bounced over a one-loss Notre Dame, who's not going to play a conference championship and lost
But
to
then
NIU.
I think you have a better. I think you should have brought that up in the beginning because that's a way better argument.
But then we're only talking about losses here. We got to talk about wins too. And as Matt said, to even start this whole conversation, they played a cupcake schedule all the way through until this Ohio State game. So like, are we really going to give them that much hype for going a 10-0 until they have to play one real team and lose it?
They deserve to be in. If they keep the game close against Ohio State, they deserve to be in, and I hope the committee keeps it that way.
All right, let's end that there. That's like 20 minutes on Indiana football.
Yeah, Myers will love listening to that segment.
Well, I mean, it's the talk. It's the talk of the weekend, right? I mean, it's everybody's going to be tuned into that game, top 5 matchup, and look, there's no more top 4 to say, hey, if you lose, you got snubbed, regardless of if your whole team's checked out and you lose by 75 points. Doesn't matter. You still got snubbed. So we will jump into the next game here. Topic. I mean, Brian, BYU lost. I know that's your team. Boise State's still in it. So now are you the newest Boise State super fan?
Yeah, no, I hope Asher Genty runs all the way to the national championship. But yeah, it's looking like Colorado, I think, is going to find a way to sneak in with that Big 12 spot.
Why? Because they'll make a conference championship?
Yeah, I think right now they're peaking where BYU is they've been teeter-tottering.
Is that going to be the Big 12 championship, BYU versus Colorado?
Yeah, it's looking like BYU Colorado. There's still actually I think Kansas State lost. Iowa State's sitting there at 8-2, so they might be able to still get in over Colorado. But yeah, it's looking like BYU Colorado.
Gotcha. Anything else on the standings as they stand? I mean, you want to talk about a tough break or a tough matchup? Wouldn't right now, as it stands, Penn State have to play Georgia? Yeah, it's the 11-6.
Yeah, Penn State would be the 5.
Yeah, no, 6-11. I see what you're saying.
Or no,
yeah.
Penn State would be the 6 because
it's a 6 versus 11. So
yeah,
I mean, that's
Ohio
a tough
State would
break
be
right
5.
there. Does Indiana potentially beating Ohio State change Penn State's ranking? Or if Ohio State beats Indiana, does Penn State kind of get out of that spot so that they don't have to play Georgia in the first round? Because I'd be honest with you, like Georgia's sitting at 10, 11, 9. Like none of these teams on the other side that would have to play would want that. I sure as hell would want to have to play Georgia in the first round.
I honestly think that it would just flip-flop the 2 spots and Penn State would stay there. Like right now we have it as Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, because we assume that Ohio State's going to beat Indiana this next week. And if Indiana wins this game, as you're saying in this hypothetical, I think it just flips them and Ohio State goes below Penn State because then they're a 3-loss team, Ohio State.
You're saying if they lose the Big Ten title game.
Yeah.
If Penn State if Ohio State loses this weekend,
it'd be
most likely if Indiana beats Ohio State,
it'd be Indiana.
Texas will move to 2,
and Oregon.
Indiana will be 3, Ohio State will be 4, Penn State will be 5.
But Indiana
Ohio State has the win over Penn State.
But Indiana would still play Oregon in the conference championship.
Yeah, but like the next ranking.
Yeah.
Like next week.
All right. I think I just lost what you were saying. So yes. Yes.
I mean, dude, 12 teams just creates for that much more controversy. We thought all these problems would be fixed. We thought it'd be totally fine. Oh, add the extra teams, all the controversies out the window. I think it made it even more worse and even more heightened. from
Oh,
what
for
we're about to
sure.
see. So
I mean,
it is what it is.
who gets the bye, who gets the 5, the 6, the 12. I mean, everybody's up in arms now. It just expanded it exponentially.
I
Well,
mean,
what I'm
the
meaning
BY
is,
or the Big 12 and the ACC are both terrible, and they're gonna get uh, spots in the playoff because they have to.
I
So
thought
it's
you
just
liked
even more.
I thought you liked Cam Ward.
I do, but they're ranked ninth, and right now they have a bye.
yeah, it's look, I understand what they're trying to do, copying the basketball side of, giving not only giving the conference champions an auto bid, but giving them a bid to the top of the bracket. I understand it, but we'll see. Look, it could blow up in their face over the next couple of years, and they could say, you know what, this didn't work out. It's not creating a good product, and they could change it. But as of right now, it's what we have, and we can sit here and say this, that, and the third about each team and who's going to win, who's not going to win. At some point, we just have to say, all right, put our fucking beers down and let the players do the work on the field and reanalyze once the standings are finally set.
Man,
Yeah.
But we can always transition into some winners and losers of the week since the college football season is heating up. Let's jump into a more fun segment where we don't have to get all heated and debate each other so roughly, as Brian is super opinionated on his college football take. So before he gets too fired up, we'll jump into some winners and losers of the week presented by SeatGeek.
The weather may be getting cold late in the year, but the sports action is heating up. With the final stretch of the football season upon us and basketball season now here, the only place to go for the best tickets for each game is SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the official sponsor of the Views from Section 400 podcast, and whether you're looking to sit courtside of the Sixers game, find a last-minute deal up in Section 400 for the Iron Bowl, or looking to just cheer on your alma mater in a preseason basketball tournament, SeatGeek's one-of-a-kind system helps you find the best deal for the best seats in the house. Use code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's code VIEWSFROM400 at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek, your best night ever is waiting. And now, winners and losers.
Thanks to SeatGeek for that quick word. It's the winners and losers of the week. Section 400 brings it to you every week, and we'll jump off. Mr. Jack, why don't you kick us off here so Brian can cool down after that college football segment and give us a quick winner.
Yeah, let's take it over to college basketball. I'm going to give you a quick winner. I know Brian's talked about it a little bit here on this show, but now it's my turn. It's Auburn basketball. We're off to a 4-0 hot start. Beat up on Houston, easily the best win of the season, of the college basketball season. I think I can say that objectively. We went into Houston, took care of business. I'm just so excited for this Auburn basketball team, and you guys know me and my football struggles this year. This is my team now.
Yeah, you thought I was going to get a little
Warriors.
less heated here. You bring up Auburn basketball, and I'm going to be as opinionated as ever. I mean, this team is 4-0. Like you said, they went into Houston and beat Houston. I know it was in the Toyota Center. It wasn't on campus, and Houston fans love to say that, but it was still in Houston. If they beat us in Birmingham next year, they're going to claim the same shit, and that's another city. So we beat them in Houston. But, yeah, you play Iowa State. If you win that game, you're going to play North Carolina. And then if you win that game, you're probably going to play UConn here in the Maui Invitational. So it's no easy schedule for Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers. And I know we kind of talked about the fact they might have double-digit losses, but I'm not so sure anymore.
We're a damn good basketball team. And I know we have Duke right around the corner, too. So a lot of
And
good
Purdue.
games. Yeah, I know. A lot of good games on the schedule. I can't wait to watch them. We have a team that can really compete.
I wouldn't be as worried. I mean, I know we said they might have double-digit losses. Maybe they won't, because Duke lost to Kentucky, and Purdue just looked horrible against Marquette last night. And I get it. Maybe they were on the road, but, it might not be as scary of a schedule as, it might have looked like when we looked at it, a week or two ago. So I think the future's bright. The near future's bright for Auburn basketball, but we know the struggles in March, especially under Bruce Pearl. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. It's easy for you guys to. I won't. Brian loves to throw the Final Four run in my face. I'm not going to get ahead of myself until I see a lot more and it still might be tough for me to get there, depending on who they got to play in the first round.
Yeah, no, the key for Auburn is going to be winning enough games in the non-conference to get that 1 or 2 seed. If they can do that and get out of the first weekend, then they can make another Final
And
Four
the
run.
sky's the limit, yeah.
If they end up at the 4 or 5 again and have to play a team like Yale in the first round and then a good team in the second round, I'm not as confident.
Yeah, that's the biggest key. And I think that's the perfect way to kind of jump off is they got to get out of the first weekend, as you always do. But like an Auburn team needs that momentum going out of the first weekend. It's been tough for them to get it done.
Yeah, we saw even bringing up Houston again when Auburn underperformed in the regular season a couple years ago. They had an 8 seed, they beat Iowa, and then they were beating Houston, but Houston was just too good of a team and overtook them. If they had a better regular season, they're probably in the Sweet 16. Just how it goes.
Probably, but we're still a few months out from that.
Yeah, well, I love getting ahead of myself, especially with college basketball.
Especially with Auburn, I think is the underlying kicker there. But why don't you give us a winner really quick here, Bry?
Yep, it's going to be our grandparents and our families and good old-fashioned family bonding time on Thanksgiving because at 4:30 on Thanksgiving, Matt mentioned it in the little intro here, but we have Tommy DeVito taking on Cooper Rush. No need to watch that. Put down the tablets, put down the TVs, and let's just have some good old-fashioned Thanksgiving dinner.
Fair enough. You're a week early, but love it.
Well, the DeVito news came out, and that's the first thing I thought of.
I cannot believe that that's going to be a Thanksgiving game. I mean, what the hell?
We got Lions and Bears before that, too.
Which is better.
I think that's better. I think that's a lot better.
Yeah, I will take that all day. And again, that's the tradition as old as time. I don't know when that has started, but it's always the Lions, it's always the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. It's always the Lions in that 12 o'clock slot or 12:30 did they kick off? I know they do it a little early. And so 12:30 and the Cowboys in that 4:30 spot and then two random teams at night. Who are the two random teams this year?
It's the Packers and I want to say the Titans, but that's definitely not right.
Vikings? Would that make sense?
Might be the Vikings. It's
I'll
the
check
Packers
real
and the Dolphins.
That's the night game.
Yeah.
Okay. That, Dolphins getting healthy at the right time, that could be a fun one.
Traveling to Lambeau.
Not going to be fun for them.
No.
Yeah, I'll be watching New Mexico and Arizona State in holiday hoopsgiving.
Yeah, look, they'll have college basketball and there'll be other things to do. And shit, man, it doesn't have to be sports 24/7, 365. Go enjoy some time with your family. It's Thanksgiving after all. Eat some turkey. But let me jump into a winner of the week here. And I thought, I had a couple backups because I thought this one would snipe it. And there's a bunch of guys you could give out because of the awards that went down. But it's got to be our guy, Paul Skeets, man. Guy came in, didn't even play the whole year. And he won the National League Rookie of the Year. And he is an absolute pitching sensation. He's going to be a guy fighting for maybe, 5+ Cy Youngs in his career as long as he stays healthy, maybe more. If he repeats seasons like this, future Hall of Famer. I mean, 11-3 on the year, a 1.96 ERA, 170 strikeouts in 133 innings. He is your National League Rookie of the Year and immediately changes the outlook of the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise, who just, a year or two ago were one of the worst teams in the league. So got to give a shout to Paul Skeens. Get it done on and off the field, man. We know he's got an absolute rocket of a famous girlfriend as well. So, yeah, Paul Skeens, what a guy to be right now.
Yeah, Livy Dune's reaction with Paul Skeens' reaction was so funny because Skeens was like not very impressed at all, and she was going nuts. And then they showed there was a viral meme of Skeens in the fire truck, and he was like super happy compared to him after winning Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, it was a little awkward of an exchange, I will agree. I didn't think thought maybe they would have shown a little more affectionate love towards each other, but it seemed like Livy wanted to go crazy. He didn't really go crazy. Then she got caught in between of I was about to go nuts and he isn't, and all the cameras are on us. Tough scene, but they're young. We'll give them a break. They got a long way to go.
It was
Yeah.
the Kobe job's not finished. That's what he did.
That's what he tried to do. And I get it. I get it. I love the Kobe, but like, dude, how long are people going to milk the job's not finished thing? I mean, at some point, it's a little corny.
Yeah.
Maybe once the job gets finished, they'll give it a rest.
He's got bigger goals. And with him and Jared Jones at the top of the rotation, if Pittsburgh can get some bats, they could be a sneaky playoff team next year.
Yeah, I get it. Wanting to win championships, and they could be. Yeah, I'm sure. If there's somebody to throw out sneaky playoff teams, it's our guy Zach Myers. Now he, for whatever reason, has a weird obsession with the Cincinnati Reds, so I'm sure the Cincinnati Reds will be getting thrown out there. But yeah, nonetheless, Pittsburgh Pirates, they can add a couple hot bats to their lineup. Like you said, the front of the rotation is shaping out very nicely. But we'll wait until February and March before we jump into some MLB outlook. But Jack, why don't you kick us off with a little loser here? Brian will kick a loser, and then I'll wrap it up with a loser myself.
Yeah, I know this is a team that you guys like to rag on, but I'm going to do the justice here so we don't get too down the rabbit hole. The Dallas Cowboys organization is both literally and figuratively falling apart. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but did you guys see that fat piece of roof, that piece of sheet metal that fell from the roof of the stadium when they went to open up? Jerry's going to get somebody killed, dude. I mean,
it could have killed somebody.
It absolutely could have killed somebody. But having that happen on top of the season that the Cowboys are already having, you just paid Dak, he's hurt. CeeDee's talking about how every team out there is embarrassing them. What do you think goes through Jerry Jones' head at night?
Nothing.
I don't. I'm surprised his team hasn't killed him yet.
Especially he keeps going on that radio show too and giving out interviews.
He has to. That's like the weekly thing. It's just really shitty what's going on. I mean, I love it as an Eagles fan. Brian, you should love it too as a Giants fan. But Jack, I mean, I don't know. You have no real hate towards the Cowboys, other than them being America's team, and they're not.
Jerry Jones just seems like an asshat, but
I think he's just old. His brain's losing.
If he needs to be relieved and make sure that this team doesn't just completely crumble. They're one of the most successful sports franchises ever. I mean, figure it out.
10 years ago, 15 years ago, or maybe even 5 years ago, I don't know what it needed to be, but at some point he needed to put the ego aside. Still could have been called the president, still could have been the leader of the front office, but he should have hired a real GM. And I know he's a GM, whatever you want to call it, but if he brought a secondary GM in, I think it could have made wonders and maybe it turned something around for that team. But it's been rinse and repeat, man. They've been trying the same thing. Jerry Jones out there making draft picks, signing free agents, giving out big money contracts, and it really hasn't netted them anything.
His whole thing is he wants to be good enough to sell tickets and give his fans hope.
Right. And that's all it is. I mean, it's a business. He's, I think, been very open about it being a business and running it like a business. And that's what it is, man. They got all their fans in the 90s when they won the Super Bowls, and now they're just robbing them of all the money, I guess.
Yeah. Wish I could say I felt bad, but I do not.
No, I don't either. But Brad, why don't you give us the loser of the week?
Yeah, I kind of feel bad about this one because I hate ragging on some people. But so there's this kid, Julian Newman. He was a child phenom, kind of like the baby Gronk mixed with Cooper Flagg of the early 2010s. But he was on Oprah. He was on Ellen as a phenom basketball star. Turns out he got to college, didn't get one D1 or D2 offer. He now plays at Bethesda College, an NAIA school with no age restrictions. So he's 23 years old, and he's been playing against D1 competition to open up the college basketball season. Game 1, he had 3 points, shot 0 for 3, all three-pointers. Game 2, he had 6 points, shot 3 for 12, 0 for 6 from 3. Game 4, he had 0 points, 0 for 3, 0 for 3 from 3.
Game 4, he had 0 points, 0 for 6, 0 for 6 from 3. He goes out there and he plays like he's on the 2K My Park with all the dribble moves and stuff. It looks like he spent all of his VC on dribble moves. And he's throwing up just terrible shots that hit the backboard, do not hit rim after the bank. This kid is very bad at basketball. And apparently he was very arrogant about his ability in middle school, kind of like Baby Gronk is now. And he's just a very bad basketball player.
Yeah, he was. I mean, in middle school, I remember all the videos, and he had the quick, flashy dribble moves, pretty cocky. And it's a classic case of, when he was the same height of everybody, he was able to play well, and everybody grew, and he stayed the same height. So in basketball, if there's anything you need, is height definitely helps. I mean, it's just. You're right. I think loser of the week is warranted because it's horrible. But I mean, this guy's so irrelevant, man. Like it's just, whatever. Bethesda College, NAAI, blah blah blah. Who cares?
Well said. I think that's why he's the loser of the week here, just because high expectations to become 3 for 24 and 0 for 18 from 3 points against D1 competition.
Yeah. That's enough we need with Julian Newman on our podcast. But my loser of the week happened on Monday night. And I don't know if this is the first time ever in Views from Section 400 history, but I actually was able to watch it live. I was in attendance at the Philadelphia Flyers game on Monday night. And as I was watching the game, it was midway through the first period. And one of the Avalanche defenders bumped into the referee. Referee did a somersault, landed on his back, and was down for like 15 minutes. So the referee's name is Mitch Dunning, was bumped into on the ice by one of the Avalanche players, and he could not resume. It was the first time ever. This guy was like sprawled out, laying on the ground. Like, I think he was fine because the NHL said he's expected to make a full recovery. They didn't comment when he's going to get back to the ice, but this guy got stretchered off the ice. They wheeled the stretcher out. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, but they wheeled a stretcher out, put him on the stretcher, got him out of there, and then, I think he was completely fine hours later they said, he went to the hospital. But, I mean, aren't hockey guys supposed to be tough? I mean, this was it might have been a bad fall, but, dude, being an NHL referee getting stretchered off the ice, it just – I don't know. It's a great look, especially since he didn't even get severely hurt.
Yeah. I don't know. If there's one thing to get Woj out of retirement, I need a timetable for this referee's return. I need to know how bad this injury was, where he was injured, and why he had to get stretchered off the ice.
I get it, falling on ice is tough, but it wasn't like the Avalanche guy was trying to hit him. He wasn't skating full speed. He bumped into him and the guy fell. And then he had to get stretchered off the ice.
Dude,
I don't know. It was.
Did you make a bad call before that, where maybe the Avalanche guy was out for revenge?
No, if anything, a Flyers guy should have done it with a couple of no calls that they got where there should have been a penalty. But I think it was merely like an accident. It just was an accident. He bumped into him. Sure, he might have been a little sore, but at the even if you can't resume, at the bare minimum, he should have been able to just kind of skate off. I mean, this guy was a former Canadian hockey player in the OHL, which is probably the second best league in the world outside the NHL.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. I feel like if you're reffing hockey, you were definitely a hockey player at some point in your life, and those hockey guys, they're tough guys. They are tough. Right. I understand that the NHL's official statement is that he's fine, but he must have been pretty shaken up to not get back up after that. He either A, saw his opportunity to cash the check and took it, or B, he probably is pretty hurt. He probably is.
We need an
update.
These
guys would stay down for nothing. They got more pride than a lot of folks.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get some updates. NHL doesn't know when he'll be back to the ice, but he was stretchered off and expected to make a full recovery. So happy he's making a full recovery. Loser of the week for getting stretchered off the ice. But with that said, that is the winners and losers segment of the podcast, always presented by SeatGeek. We will get into some more winners and losers next week on Thanksgiving week. Should be interesting. The heavily anticipated, the newest segment on Section 400. It is the NFL Confidence Picks presented by the Views from 400 merch. Shirts releasing November 29th on Black Friday. Make sure you get in. We're going to have a pre-sale link. You can go in, buy a bunch of stuff, help our brand out. The merch is going to be pretty sick. I'm proud of what we're able to put together, and we will get it going as soon as it's ready. But like I said, without further ado, it is the NFL Confidence Picks presented by Views from 400 merch. Brian, you usually kick us off. Why don't you? Well, I guess I'll update the people with some standings first, right? I probably should. The NFL Confidence Picks, the records as they stand. So we'll go through last week's points. Brian had 72. Jack had 81. I was able to lead the clubhouse with 82. Brian 7-7 on the picks. Jack and I both went 10-4, so some very nice betting picks there. You would have came out profitable. I think all mine would have been pretty profitable as well because I had some underdogs in there that hit. But the total points as they stand, Ryan with 238. I sit in with 247, and Jack still with the lead at 269 after that really hot week one. Nice indeed. But Brian, would you care to lead us off with your confidence picks of week 12?
Yeah, I guess we'll go loser leads off here. I need to make up some points. I have not been good. I've not had a good week yet. I've been mediocre throughout. But going with the Texans over the Titans as my most confident. Then we're going Lions over Colts, Commanders over Cowboys, Dolphins over Patriots, Chiefs over Panthers. Not sure why I put that so low, but we'll deal with it. Browns over Raiders, Seahawks over Cardinals, Steelers over Browns, Bucks over my Giants, Vikings over Bears, Packers over 49ers, Rams over Eagles, and Chargers over the Ravens.
Pretty fair board there. I mean, yeah, you kind of said Chiefs over Panthers. The Chiefs are coming off a loss playing a really, really bad Panthers team. I really don't see any way the Chiefs lose that game. I think that's a free 13 points, 15 points, however we score it. I think that one's pretty free. So, to not even have them as double-digit points is a little shocking to me. But once you put it on there and read it off, it is what's locked in. We'll see if your method to whatever madness you have pays out.
I really like the other teams up there, so maybe I'll make up some points with my other wins.
Maybe you will. The only other one I have, and then Jack, if you have anything, feel free to jump in on Brian's board here. But I don't blame you for having the Rams and the Eagles game down low, and I don't blame you for having the Rams over the Eagles. I, for one, can't pick against the Eagles because that would just be absolute nonsense. Yeah, it's a tricky game, man. Out there at SoFi, I don't know where. It's low on the boards for a reason because it's a tough game to pick.
Yeah, I was hoping to pick up some points with that.
Yeah, I'm leaving it at that. That's actually my number one, my least confident pick. I'm taking the Rams over the Eagles as well. I think this is going to be all about that wide receiver defensive back matchup. The Rams wide receivers, we know how good they are with Stafford. They're healthy, they're back, and that Eagles defensive unit. Those guys in the secondary have been playing some lockdown football. We've heard Matt talk about Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the whole lot of them. Big play Slay, whoever else they got over there still.
Cooper DeJean has his own song now. Have you heard that?
I have not heard that.
Cooper DeJean is not a safe.
Yeah. But that dropped when he was at Iowa, though.
Oh, it did? Okay, so now
I'm pretty sure it dropped when he was at Iowa. I could be wrong. We would have to fact check that, but I want to say it dropped when he was in Iowa. But either way, has the song. And oh, by the way, fun fact, saw Cooper DeJean on Monday night at the Flyers game. I was headed up the escalator. He was on the ground floor, so there was no way for me to get a picture. And it didn't really seem like anybody noticed him. So what a jackass I would have been if I started screaming Cooper at him. So I kind of played the, act like
should have just started singing the song.
Nah, well, that would have maybe been a little worse. But nonetheless, it was pretty cool to see him in person. If I was ground level, definitely would have asked for a quick pick, but didn't want to start causing a ruckus while I was on the elevator or on the escalator going up.
Not like you haven't caused a ruckus on an escalator in Philly before.
We leave that in the past. Time for my confidence picks as I do weekly here. Yeah, not gonna live that one down, huh, Brian? But we will go over to my picks, and I tell Brian way down there at number 9. I'm gonna pick up the free 13 points here because I have Chiefs over Panthers as my most confident, going into the Lions over the Colts, Texans over the Titans, Steelers over the Browns, Broncos over the Raiders, Bucks over the Giants, Commanders over the Cowboys, got the Dolphins beating the Pats, Cardinals beating Seattle, Vikings over the hopeless Bears, Eagles over the Rams because I can't pick against my birds, Packers over San Francisco, which is a total toss-up, and the biggest toss-up I think is Ravens over Chargers.
Yeah, I like the Dolphins a lot more than you do this week against the Patriots, but I don't really blame you for putting them so low just because they've been such an inconsistent team. And then we'll have the big Seattle versus Arizona game too.
Yeah, I got to be honest, man. Like, part of me wanted to take the Patriots over the Dolphins. I couldn't do it, but that's why I put them a little lower on the board because it's a tough game it's a weird game, man. Divisional battle, like the Patriots had a minute 47 to go, 1st and 10, couple timeouts, like had the ball. They had a shot to drive down the field and tie the game with just under 2 minutes to go. Drake May throws a horrible, ill-advised pass, which ends up getting picked off. But, that was against the Rams, who were a pretty solid team, and they were just a touchdown down with the ball in hand and a shot to score. So, yeah, I wouldn't say the Dolphins are going to cakewalk this game by any stretch.
Yeah, definitely don't think it's going to be a cakewalk, but I keep saying it. What are the Pats playing for? I mean, nothing, dude. I mean, they should be playing for a draft pick, honestly. So, I got the Dolphins too, but what I find interesting is I feel like we all have the same bottom 4 games here for the most part. Bottom 4, bottom 5 games. The Vikings, Bears, the Packers, Niners, Eagles, Rams, Chargers, Ravens. We're all feeling least confident about those, and they just happen to be 4 of the last games of the week. They're the 2 4:25 games, the Sunday Night Football game and the Monday Night Football game. So I just want to say, the end of this week should finish with a lot of good football.
Yeah, good job, NFL. And I kind of wish I would have put the Packers a little higher just because it's Jordan Love during Toyotathon. And he has been unreal during Toyotathon. It's actually insane. But yeah, I'll leave it.
This was the year that Kyler Murray broke the Call of Duty curse. I hope this is the year that this Toyotathon thing goes away.
They already won last week, and they got a blocked field goal.
Let's not jinx the Cardinals and Kyler Murray just yet, please. I still got a rest of a fantasy year to go with him. Let's not jinx Kyler Murray.
Fair enough. Season coming up pretty soon here, right? I think there's a new season of Call of Duty coming out.
The new Warzone just dropped, so this weekend could be absolute disastrous for Kyler Murray and the Cardinals.
Well, let's just hope he's fine. Because I've got them winning this week over Seattle as well, but that is far down on my confidence board. I am also starting it off with the Chiefs over the Panthers. Me and Matt see pretty eye on this. Brian, I don't know how you're lacking on this one, but
doesn't even have double-digit points.
Dude, I don't know. I've seen a lot of TikTok edits of the whole Taylor Swift, and then goes into Brain Stew with Bryce Young and Kim Albert. Like, it's kind of convincing.
Okay. Yeah, I got the Chiefs over the Panthers. I got the Commanders over the Cowboys, the Lions over the Colts. See if they drop another 52 burger on an AFC South team. I got the Texans over the Titans, Broncos over the Raiders, Dolphins over the Pats, Bucks over the Giants, Steelers over the Browns, Vikings over the Bears, San Francisco over Green Bay, Cardinals over the Seahawks, the Ravens over the Chargers, and the Rams over the Eagles.
How dare you disrespect Toyotathon?
Don't care about Toyotathon.
Yeah, I
No,
was
you will
50
after
me
this
too.
week.
I have them at the 2. What the hell is like? I know what Toyotathon is, but like, why is that linked to Jordan Love?
He was terrible last year before Toyotathon, and then he went on he put up MVP type numbers and led the Packers to the playoffs during the month of Toyotathon.
But he's been good.
He's been all right,
all
but
year.
they also won last week on a tipped field goal, and Toyotathon happened to start last week, so the juju's already starting.
Dang, looking at who you guys have now, I wish I had the San Francisco over Green Bay game a little bit higher because I could make up or not that I need to necessarily make up points, but I could get a big lead from that if San Francisco can win this because you guys are both on Green Bay here.
Yeah, for the record, just so it is on record, me picking the Packers over San Fran had nothing to do with Toyotathon.
I'm glad you put that on the record.
I expected as much. No, it's definitely a Brian stat, the whole Toyota thing.
But I have him at number 2 on my least, basically least confident about that game. Could go either way. 2 NFC playoff caliber teams. The Niners need it way more than the Packers do, which is why I could see the Niners winning. But I like the Packers at Lambeau. The Niners have been disastrous, but again, I have it number 2 on the board. If it loses, I'm not leaving that many points on the table.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of bunched up here in terms of there might not be much room for me to improve unless the Chiefs somehow lose to the Panthers.
Yeah, you would actually be making up points on that. That's funny.
Yeah, and you guys have Steelers over Browns pretty low. Like if that game wins, that'll be, I think, a +4 swing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Should be a good week of football.
Yeah, it should be. Like Jack said, with all those primetime games at the end. But that is the NFL Confidence Picks presented by the Views from 400 merch. I can't wait till that shit drops. I can't wait to rep it. I can't wait to rock it. We'll see who wins the week this week, next week, on Thanksgiving week. A lot of weeks. But NFL Confidence Picks, like I said, time to wrap up the show with the mic of the week, the favorite segment. That's why we do it last. We save the best for last. Jack, you sticking around for this one or what?
No. No, I gotta go.
All right. Yeah, just log off and then we'll rock it.
All right. Thank you. Good job, boys. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thank you.
It is the mic of the week. Views from section 400 here. Little change up, little curveball. I know you're like, where did Jack go? He didn't go anywhere. He just going to do, well, I guess he did, but he's going to do some co-ed softball. So make sure you give him some nice words in the comments for that. But mic of the week, nonetheless, Brian, what do you got for us in this one? I know you always just have something totally ridiculous. I can see it in your eyes. You're pulling it up on your screen. What unbelievable stat do you have?
It's not that ridiculous. It is kind of unbelievable, but we already ragged on the Cowboys a little bit, so I'll save a lot of the drama. But the U.S. men's national team won again last night. Made me start thinking. They've played a couple games at AT&T Stadium. They've won 3 games in Arlington this year. The Dallas Cowboys have not won a single game at Jerry's World in 2024. The U.S. men's national team has 3 more wins.
Soccer.
The U.S. men's national team, and including Greg Berhalter, has 3 more wins than the Dallas Cowboys at Arlington in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I know you said we ragged on them enough in the show, but you can never rag on the Cowgirls too much. And it's what it is. The team's not good, and they have a lot of money tied up in a lot of different places. I don't know where that team is going to go from here, but look, I'll take all the good juju for the U.S. team, especially as we're closely and kind of quickly approaching the 2026 year.
Yeah, and they just got by Jamaica, and I think it was the first round of the Nations League, but beat them on aggregate. So if they can pick up a Nations League title, that'd be big because they're not going to play any of these World Cup qualifiers.
No, they're not, and we need them to somehow do whatever they can to, get get into the tournament and not have like crazy controversy going around the horn, if you know what I mean.
Yep. Well, Pulisic was doing the Trump dance, so there's a little bit of controversy.
Yeah, but we can accept that.
It's the highlight that I think was CBS Sports posted the highlight, and they cut off the dance. They posted everything.
I'm
in the
sure
last
they
2 seconds.
did. Not surprising. But yeah, I'll wrap up the show here, wrap up the Mike of the Week segment here with my Mike of the Week. And it was just something interesting, something from so long ago that could go for so much money. And it was Ted Williams' 1946 AL MVP award, sold for over $500,000 at auction. $750,000 at auction. Ted Williams, 1946 AL MVP award, off to the highest bidder. That year, Brian, try and guess his batting average without cheating.
411.
No, higher than what it was. I'll give you one more guess.
389.
No, 342 with 38 home runs.
Yeah, I wish I could have gotten to watch Ted Williams.
That's one of those guys. An unbelievable player, and that was his batting average and kind of his quick home run stat from that AL MVP award. I think there's been a bunch of other stuff that his collection has sold off. I want to say maybe his daughter passed away a couple years ago or somewhat recently, and this was kind of like the last bit of his awards and collection to be sold off. But yeah, great player, obviously, and in a way different era. Obviously, the 40s and 50s were really nuts. But yeah,
well, that season would have been the year after the war ended.
Yeah, so everybody was back.
Yeah.
But it is pretty nuts. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you got. I'm starving. I want to go eat some food. That's Views from Section 400 podcast. As always, action-packed midweek show. We'll see everybody Sunday, Monday. We'll see everybody Monday. Enjoy the weekend. Hit us up on socials. Get ready for the merch, and we'll catch you next week for a holiday week. That's all I got. I'm Matt. Brian with me. Jack's already out. Peace.
Tommy Cutlets is bad.